So today I want to talk about a bow that was pretty popular last year and a bow that I think is going to be really popular this year. And that is the RX-5 Ultra versus the new 2022 RX-7 Ultra. Alright guys, so just first things first, specs wise, let's go over some of the specs on these bows. Specs wise, the 2022 RX-7 Ultra, you got 334, RX-5 Ultra 334, that's your speed that Hoyt says they're both going to shoot. I'll tell you right now, both of these bows are pretty slow in the shorter draw length areas. 34 inches axle to axle on both, 7-inch brace height on both. 4.3 pounds and 4.6 pounds. 27 to 32 is what the RX-7 is available in, and 27 to 32 is what the RX-5 Ultra is available in. RX-7 Ultra is available in 40 to 80 pounds, and RX-5 Ultra 30 to 80 pounds. So let's talk about what these two bows are actually set up at right now. You got 27.5 inches is what it's actually drawing on the draw board on the RX-5 Ultra. 68.6 pounds, 5.4 pounds holding weight. 329 grain arrow, we shot 297. 430 grain arrow, shot 261. My 456 grain hunting arrow, shot 255. And it's a 554 grain full metal jacket, shot 237. Speeds on the RX-7 Ultra, pretty similar. 329 grain arrow shot 295, 430 grain arrow shot 267, 456 grain arrow shot 254, and the 554 grain arrow shot 235. So specs wise, both of these bows are almost identical. With that being said, there's some pretty big differences. So just the first thing that I'm noticing, well, let's put these bows right there together, and just based off of that, axle to axle is the same, but let's put the actual bottom of the riser. Look at the difference in the two risers. You've got a several inches longer riser and straighter riser on the new RX-7, which should make this bow even more shootable and tunable. Other than that, the cams are almost identical. RX-5 Ultra has the HBX cams. RX-7 has the HBX Pro cams. Very, very similar. They did take a little bit of weight out of the cams from what I'm being told. The angle is a little bit different on the limbs. It's quite a bit different on these two. Not as much on the RX-7 and the RX-5, but the Ultras, they're a big difference on the angle of the limbs. And this bow looks like it should shoot very, very well. But as far as draw cycle and all that goes, they should be very, very similar. As far as the shooting and the feeling of these bows, I will definitely say one thing: the grips. I can't say it enough. The grip. The new Vital Point grip on the Hoyts are phenomenal, in my opinion. Way better than this hard plastic feeling grip that's on last year's RX-5. Fit and finish wise, so far all the bows that we've gotten from Hoyt, the fit and finish have been phenomenal. More of a dull finish than last year. I really liked the finish on some of the carbons last year, but it was like hit or miss. Like the last couple years have been really hit or miss on the finishes on these bows. But so far, the new RX-7s have had a really nice finish on them. Another thing you'll notice is that Hoyt did away with the aluminum head and bottom of the riser. It was actually an aluminum system that was like machined and pressed in on the carbon riser. The new risers from Hoyt are 100% carbon, which should negate vibration. That's definitely how they save weight. You can tell a weight difference between these two bows, with the RX-7 definitely being lighter. I do like personally that the bow is a lot skinnier. It's going back to more like what my Spider 34 was as far as just the look of these bows, but that really doesn't make a difference on the shootability. I also like the Picatinny rail system on the RX-7, how they did away with the little bolt-on feature and it's more of a pressed in feature on the new RX-7 Ultras. I like that. Excuse me. Had something tickling my nose. I don't like that they did away with this rubber shelf material. Man, I got something tickling me. Back to it. I don't like how they did away with this rubber shelf material. All the new bows do not have that rubber shelf material, and that was something that I really liked on the Hoyts. For just one, for carrying my bow, I liked putting my thumb there. Two, I liked the fact that I didn't have to worry as much about my arrow bouncing around and hitting something and making noise. Other than that, the fit and finish on the accessory fittings, where your quiver and stuff like that go, are nicer on the newer bows, and Hoyt did away with the hole in the where the shock rod goes. They did away with that hole, and I think it's because the guys were having issues, just like I did, of their stabilizers breaking that bracket off. So now you can mount your stabilizer on the riser and the bottom, and that's a big difference there. I think that's going to be a good system. They also centered up the stabilizer hole on the front of the riser, which I think is going to be more streamlined. It definitely made it a narrower bow, and just the balance in the hand I like better on the RX-7. So let's shoot these bows a couple times, and I'm going to shoot 2 arrows out of the RX-7 Ultra, 2 arrows out of the RX-5 Ultra, and then we'll talk about some things. One thing you'll notice with the RX-7 Ultra is just how super smooth this bow is. Back wall's really nice, it holds really nice, I really like that grip. And this bow is dead quiet and has absolutely zero hand shock. I mean, like none. Alright, so we're drawing back. Let me let this bow down. If it'll ever go. It's easy to let this bow down. It doesn't want to yank your shoulder off. Let me get another shot here. Listen how quiet this bow is. Super quiet. No hand shock at all. Alright, so let's shoot a couple shots with the RX-5 Ultra here. Draw cycle and back wall are almost identical. There is definitely some shot vibration, some hand shock there on this bow. I would have to give the nod to the new RX-7 on the draw cycle actually, because this bow is actually shooting like 3 pounds lighter and it feels relatively stiffer. Let me let it down. Let down's about the same. The cams are almost identical, guys. I would definitely give the draw cycle nod slightly to the RX-7 Ultra. Ever so slightly, a little bit of hand shock, definitely more than in the RX-7, and it's slightly louder in my opinion. So, we've shot these 2 bows. Let me grab this one off the floor. You saw the shot. You saw how they held. Just based off of that, these bows are so similar, guys. It's going to be hard to choose between the 2, but I will score these 2 bows up based off of what I think. We'll go in the other room and I'll give you what I think about both of these bows, and I'll tell you which one I think you should buy or not buy. Alright guys, here we go. RX-7 Ultra versus the RX-5 Ultra. Here are my thoughts on these two bows. Cams are almost identical. The bows are almost identical as far as specs, but there are some pretty major differences, and the main difference being, look at the difference in the length of the riser. There's quite a bit of difference there. The riser on the new RX-7 Ultra is very, very straight, and it's a lot straighter. The limb angle is quite a bit different between these two bows. But overall, the shootability between these two bows and what I thought on the shots were very, very similar, but there were a few pretty good nods to the RX-7. So let's talk about how I scored these two bows. So as far as quietness, I gave the RX-7 a 5 and the RX-5 was a 4. They were both very quiet bows, but the RX-7 Ultra was just next level quiet. I mean, it is a super quiet bow. It's hard to explain and to get across this camera how quiet this bow is. Vibration in the shot, RX-7 Ultra a 5, RX-5 Ultra a 4. There was some hand shock in the RX-5 Ultra, and there's absolutely zero vibration in the RX-7 Ultra. Backwall and hold, I gave both bows a 4 because I thought they felt almost identical. Not the best, but definitely better than the average. Draw cycle, I gave the RX-7 a 5 and the RX-5 a 4, and the reason behind that is this bow drew about 3 pounds heavier, and I still felt like the RX-5 Ultra felt slightly heavier on the draw cycle. So could have just been me, but I felt like there was a clear advantage on the draw cycle when it came to this RX-7 Ultra. Shootability and tunability, I gave both bows a 5. I just told you about how the riser is longer and straighter on the RX-7, which should make it more shootable. But this bow here is no slouch. The RX-5 Ultra should be no slouch to how easy and tunable and easy to shoot this bow is. I would say shootability wise, the biggest thing for me was the fact that there was no vibration, it was quieter, and I liked the grip a whole lot more on the RX-7. Balance wise, I also gave the RX-7 a 5 and I gave the RX-5 a 4. It was definitely a really well balanced bow, but it wasn't as balanced in my hand as the RX-5 Ultra was. I think this was one of the most balanced bows, if not the most balanced bow this year for me. Speed wise, both of these bows got a 3. They're not fast at all. They're kind of middle of the road, kind of average on the speed. They're not the slowest, but they're definitely not the fastest. So I gave them both a 3. So the RX-7 Ultra totaled up a 32 out of 35, which was the highest score I've given a bow yet this year. And then the RX-5 Ultra came up with a 28. So what do I think you should do, whether you should buy one of these bows versus the other? If you have an RX-5 and you're happy with it, don't change. If you have an RX-5 and you just feel like it's lacking slightly and you want just a little bit better, something more out of your bow, I do think the RX-7 is the answer there. This was my favorite shooting bow of this year so far, by quite a bit. With that being said, if you don't have an RX-5 and you're in the market for a new bow and you're wondering should you buy an RX-5 or should you just pay the extra money and buy an RX-7, my personal recommendation is buy the RX-7. If you can find a really, really good deal, like several hundred, $300 or $400, $500 off of this RX-5, buy this RX-5. It is a good shooting bow. I'm not taking anything away from it, but I do give the nod to the RX-7. I do think that Hoyt changed a few things this year that made this bow shoot a good bit better than the RX-5 Ultra. Now, as far as should you buy either one of these bows, is it worth the price of a carbon bow? Yes, in my opinion, I think it is, if you have the money. If you don't have the money and you're either going to buy this bow or you're not getting into archery, buy something cheaper. You're not going to notice whether you've got an $1,800, $1,900 bow, or whether you've got a $1,000 bow, or whether you've got a $300 bow. Whatever it takes, get into archery, so don't let the price push you away from that. But I do give the nod to the RX-7 Ultra. It was my favorite bow for this year, and I do think it's worth the money to buy this bow. And if you have the money, I do think it's worth upgrading to this bow from the RX-5 Ultra. But like I said, if you can find a good deal on it, buy the RX-5 Ultra. This is just personal opinion, and I thought this bow was much nicer to shoot. So anyways guys, I appreciate you watching this video. If you have any questions regarding archery, either come up to the shop, check out the guys at Grafton Archery, or give them a call at 704-855-1300. They'd be glad to answer any questions they can, order you a bow, do whatever they need to do to help you out. So also, if you have any questions for me, please comment down below. Please like and subscribe, guys. If you like what's going on the channel, you like what I'm bringing you, I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe and support us in that way. And you can also support us by going to the website and checking out bcreekgear.com for hats, t-shirts, and decals. Anything you buy on our website, a percentage of that goes towards conservation. So you can support us and support conservation at the same time. And that's what it's all about. So thanks for watching, guys. Remember to live your life to the fullest and use your passions to bless others. We'll catch you on the next video.